Pastor, on Sunday you explained that you're going to be transitioning out as senior pastor and we'll be getting a new senior pastor coming in. And you also explained the prophecy in your life in regards to this change and how that's affecting you. But tell us a little bit about what you'll be doing next and what your ministry will look like, both here at Cross Points as well as in the Kansas City community.
Certainly. First of all, I'm not leaving right away. And my family and I will not be relocating to another city, what have you, going to remain here.
And that's important to know.
It is, Lenexa, Shawnee area. Secondly is that we see ourselves as continuing to be members of Cross Points Church indefinitely. We don't see a change there. The change has to do with my role as a senior pastor. We see ourselves, myself, continuing to serve as a pastor, but just not as the senior pastor. It's very important. So we see ourselves being around. I see myself continuing to teach in life tools as time allows. I see myself continuing to provide some counseling. I would hope to invest time into creating a counseling department. That's one of my dreams here at Cross Points, to see a very competent, effective counseling department other than the pre-marriage counseling that does exist and does a very effective job. I want to expand that and see more and more people equipped to address what I call crisis counseling. I see myself supporting the new senior pastor, whoever that person may be, and helping them to get their sea legs, so to speak, and be that much more effective and that much quicker in their role. While that is going on, I also see myself getting more involved in the urban core. So I have going to have my hands full. But I'm a part of a citywide prayer movement, and we're quite active in the urban core. It's comprised of a number of suburban pastors and urban pastors coming together, as well as business leaders looking at the blight that exists in various aspects of the urban core, and see how we can affect that. How do we minister to the poor? How do we minister to children, as an example, who come from poor families, and they're not eating. They're getting their free lunches, perhaps free breakfasts at school. And what happens when there are holidays and there's no schools? Making sure those kids are getting meals. What happens to them in terms of the clothes that they would need? And those things are going on right now, by the way. They're happening in the various cities that we're a part of. Children are being fed. Children are receiving clothes. Just our own here at Cross Points, what we're doing already with the Back to School Bash.
Sure.
Children are receiving materials that they need. Well, that's happening on a larger scale, and I'm thankful and honored to be a part of those kinds of endeavors. We see ourselves getting more involved with the prison ministry, particularly in Lansing. There's a presence that's been there for years with Prison Fellowship, and we see ourselves having a greater role in that. We've been introduced to an organization called the Global Orphan Project, and it addresses the whole foster care issue, the dilemma there of children overpopulating the foster care system. We see ourselves getting involved in those areas. And I fully understand we're not going to be able to answer all the problems and all the issues. One person can only do so much, but I am involved with a team of people, and we see ourselves multi-gifted that have a number of resources that we can offer, and as we strategically offer them and share in a strategized way, we think that we can make a difference. We pray that we can.
So this isn't just a Don Lewis endeavor.
No,
you're working
no
with others within the community.
That is very accurate. Very key leaders in the business community, key pastors.
Okay.
Exactly.
Let's go back a little bit and talk about how your involvement will continue to look at Cross Points on Sunday mornings. Are you still going to be around on Sundays?
Yes, this is going to continue to be our church home. My wife and my church home, our daughter as well. One son of mine is a member of Full Faith City Church. He's very active in the urban core, working with that pastor, Dave Hopkins. Another son is active in a church called Redeemer in the Westport area, and very active in that church and serving and ministering while he's in school. Okay. But my family, my wife, and I, my daughter, will continue to be members here and active here at Cross Points Church. And so occasionally, once the new pastor is in place, he'll be the primary preacher, of course, as it should be. He'll establish his voice here, and occasionally I'll be available to fill the pulpit as yourself. And so, yes, no question, and perhaps I'll teach a Sunday school class. have a role.
So there will be times when you may be gone doing some of these other ministries.
Correct.
But people will still see you around
That is accurate.
the church.
That is accurate. And understand that is after we get this person, this senior pastor, we find him, he's in place, he's developed his sea legs, and so we're talking, no question, at least a year.
And so
anything will change.
until then, though, you are not just remaining senior pastor in title, you are going to continue to fulfill the responsibilities and obligations of being senior pastor.
Exactly. I will not be a lame duck.
And you're not just here so that we have somebody.
That is accurate. I will be active, working, pursuing vision, and seeing Cross Points continue to develop and mature as a church.
Wonderful. Now, with these other ministries that you've talked about, are you looking to bring any of those elements back into Cross Points, such as you mentioned the citywide prayer movement, you mentioned the adoptive services, elements like that? Will we be seeing some of those things here?
I hope so, but let me be quick to say that it's important that I make room for the new senior pastor. It's important that I not impose my vision, my dreams. We want to make sure that this person, whoever he is, has opportunity to establish his voice, opportunity to establish his dreams, and where he believes the church needs to go and how it's to get there. And so I want to be sensitive to that. But do I desire to see some of these endeavors that I'm involved with brought to Cross Points? You better believe I do. But I want to be sensitive to the fact that it's time for change.
Absolutely. Now, as you're building this new ministry, transitioning into these things, obviously you've been here for a long time.
Yes.
You made a lot of connections with people in the church. How will you build this new area of ministry, and how would people who say, I want to be a part of that vision, how would they be involved? Do you want them to be involved at this point?
That's a very good question. And it's a sensitive issue. First of all, let me say this. I am not soliciting support. And the reason for that is because whether I'm here on a full-time basis or a part-time basis, Cross Points Church has committed to supporting this ministry of mine, Don Lu's ministry, and my involvement with the Citywide Prayer Movement. So I will be salaried whether on a part-time basis or a full-time basis. That being the case, I'm not going to double dip by accepting support from members of Cross Points when the church in general is supporting me in my ministry. What I encourage the people to do is simply to give to Cross Points Church, as I have encouraged in the past. Give to the general fund, give to the missions ministry, the missions department, Thanksgiving offering, as well as to the faith commitment. Give to the building fund and continue in that endeavor. I'm going to be soliciting outside the borders of Cross Points for support. Now, as to what is it going to look like in terms of individuals' involvement with me, that is yet to be defined. I'm not going to be soliciting. I want to make sure this church continues to be healthy and grows stronger. I don't want to pull people away. And so there very well may be opportunities to minister along with me in some of these urban core endeavors, but we'll have to define that as time goes on.
So at the moment, you could say in a nutshell, the best way for people to support you in this new endeavor is to continue to support the church.
Exactly. No question about it.